Man.
You ready?
Let's do it.
All right, welcome to the Ancient Way. I'm James.
I'm Marlia.
I think we've been a little bit too docile in our past few episodes. We need to really
We're going to
branch
turn it
out.
up.
Yeah. Let's go fringy on this one.
Well, we laid a little bit of foundation.
Yeah, we did.
You know?
We did.
I kind of dig it though, because today James and I talked about, I think we're going to share some of our own fringe stories.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. We're not sharing fringe stories for the sake of being fringy. It's been popping up a lot. Like it's been showing up, these things.
Yeah. I think it ties back into kind of what we were talking about faith.
Yeah.
I think there's an element of like when you share a story, people can attach. If it happens for them, it'll happen for me.
Yep.
Because that's one of my greatest desires, is for people to engage the spirit realm, to see God, to engage with his counsel, to actually walk in the fullness of their sonship and their freedom. And we like to give stories of how it kind of plays out.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking too. That's what this thing is. A big part of it is built for. Almost to like impart and share faith.
Yeah. Totally.
And then, you think about it like, man, this is a weird story. Let's tone it down. And then you think about it, it's like, no. It's very real. We'll just share the whole thing.
Yeah, man.
And I think it's good for people. I think hopefully this podcast is a place where people can allow themselves to hear things like this safely and even open up to it.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, it's like maybe like Nicodemus showing up to Jesus like late at night after everybody's asleep. It's like, let me go see what this is about.
Yeah.
And open up to this guy, Maybe it's along those lines.
Oh, that's good.
So, do you want to start or do you want me to start? I got a long one.
You do have a long one. I don't care.
You go first. Unless you want me to go first. You want to flip a coin?
We could cast lots.
Let's cast lots.
Okay, hold on. I actually have a quarter. Guys, y'all are going to have to listen to our lot casting.
And you have to trust.
I have several stories. Okay. Heads is you, tails is me.
Okay, do it.
Oh, I can't flip a coin.
I can flip it real good.
Zach makes fun of me because when I flip it, it just stays like
Yeah, we've
level.
done that before on movie Faith-Based Fridays. Hold on.
Oh, that's true.
Tails.
Who is tails? Me?
Your tails.
Okay, I'll go first then. So, several things. One of the things I wanted to share was, one, the engagement when you give somebody a word and then when that thing comes to pass and kind of the cool unraveling that happens. That was one thing. And then I wanted to share a story of, just weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had this experience where I hadn't talked to this girl in years, and I mean like 15 plus years. She randomly, I saw her name come across my Facebook, and instantly I had a word downloaded for her. It was just like bang. And I was like, oh, that's weird, but I'll just write it out. So I started writing out about like, I felt like your belief is going to move things that look like they're blocked, and you walk in great faith. Make sure that I felt like the Lord really wanted you to know to stand. Like, don't back down to what is going to be projected at you. And so I just go into this whole thing of like, she's breaking something and like standing in the gap for her family and over her kids and all this stuff. The very next day, her kid falls out of a truck and gets run over.
Wow.
The very next day.
Yeah. And,
like they had to air flight him, like all this stuff. And I'd sent a text out to the group, of just like, hey, this happened to a friend of mine. But I had just given her this long word about like really what she just then stepped into. Anyways, she ended up reaching out and just being like, holy crap. Like, thank you so much for this. This was what I needed in the midst of this. She didn't know that when I gave her the word. I didn't even know that when I gave her the word. But it was like, how much what we release to people can be the reinforcements that they need for the next thing that they're about to encounter.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, you could have just been like, oh, that's kind of weird, or I don't even know what's going on. But I think that's why it's so important to, like, if you feel just a nudge towards something, sniff it out. Like Moses.
Don't discount it, yeah.
Yeah, don't discount it, because you could chalk it up as like, oh, well, that was just my imagination, and then bypass. Or for me, I'm always like, if I get the inspiration a little bit, if there is like I'm going into it. But I think that also has to be practiced.
I think so.
Part of me just was going to encourage people of like, hey, if you just feel an inspiration of like, hey, I want to be kind to them, follow it.
Yeah.
Like, whatever causes you to release life, follow the trail, and you'll see things happen.
Yeah.
Or you may not, but more times than not, it's kind of cool.
Yeah. We're like radios or metal detectors. You know, you can pick up on these things.
Mm-hmm.
You have the choice to pursue them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of pursuing them, I was out of town, trying to disconnect and like recharge with our family, and I had some wild stuff go down, man. It was very encouraging. But while I was out of town, I don't know why I have such a gift of when I leave town, things just unravel.
That's a nice word.
It's like absolute crap storms start to happen at any business that I have.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it could be like super docile, has been for a little bit, and then all of a sudden Marlia leaves town and freaking tornadoes show up or something.
Oh, yeah.
But in this very scenario, that's what was happening.
Of course.
But I was just like, whatever. Like, I was trying to address it, trying to whatever, you know, deal with it. Well, the next day, we were gone for like 4 days. And that all happened on a Friday. On a Saturday, I got up, and there are some other things, by the way, that were happening that was creating a little bit more chaos and stress, but of uncertainty.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna let this fly. I don't care. You know, like, I was ditching it, and I went for a run. Well, on this run, I was so stirred up. I was listening to Daniel's message, and he was talking about, you know, Jonathan and the armor bearer, and you know, that mind. And there was something that struck me so hard in that, was that Jonathan, his name means, do you remember what his name means?
Yep.
Like God was with us.
Uh-huh.
And in that story about the armor bearer, like, Jonathan basically says, hey, if they tell us to come up, we're going to kill them all.
Yeah. He lived out his namesake. Yeah.
He did. He fully embodied his name.
Yeah.
And it just made me think about like us fully embodying the name of Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
Us walking in the fullness of who the Lord has created us to be. And
yeah.
So I was really sitting on identity, and I was like, man, we are the sons of God. Like, we are where heaven and earth collide.
Yep.
Like, we are the portals of that to plant heaven, and we are the place where by unshakable faith we can release things that will physically manifest. And so time out, I'm going to rewind, but I'm sitting in that space. Now, I had an experience of like 4 days prior where, all right, this is going to be weird. I had an encounter with the spirit wisdom, and she pulled me into her lap, and she handed me a scroll, and she said, go present this to the angels. And I was like, I don't know what that means. Mm-hmm. There was a man that his name was John. He introduced me in this experience that I was having, and he said, come with me, I'll show you. And so he walked me down this hallway, and then I go into this auditorium, and I lay down this scroll and I open it up, and it was very strange. One, I opened up horizontally, and then the other scroll that I was given, I opened vertically.
Oh, sounds like a cross.
After the fact, I realized that.
Yeah.
But horizontally, it said, do unto others.
Oh, wow.
And when I opened it horizontally or vertically, I looked and I couldn't see anything. And I turned to John in this trance-like experience, and I said, there is nothing here. And he said, watch. And as I watched, the words restoration came up off of the page and like turned towards the angels that were in like this mass auditorium. And basically he said, commission the angels that are assigned to this. And so I did. I like, whatever. And so I was like, yeah, let the angels of restoration be gone, like go into your purpose. And it was a whole thing. But then there were angels that were assigned to me in this moment. And mind you, I've had so many experiences. There are these two angels that always show up for me. Mm-hmm. I've never seen them in the physical up to this point.
Yeah.
But their names are John and Anna.
Wow.
I found this out later. Their names mean grace.
Wow.
Which there is a scripture, I think it's in Zechariah, but it talks about the two headstones that say grace.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the access point of heaven. And anyways, whatever. So I saw these two in this experience. I saw Anna and John, which there was another man named John that was there, but it wasn't him. It was, they're very distinct. They're like, this sounds weird, but their energies are very distinct to me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so in this experience, I see them and I was like, okay, we're good. Like there were a few other ones, but it was like comfort.
Mm-hmm.
So that experience happened. And now fast forward back into me running on this trail.
Okay.
Just like enjoying and really sitting in the sonship and the full identity that I'm embodied by the word of God and that I'm living in his fullness. And you know, when you're on a run, your mind goes and you just saturate it and it like becomes a part of you. And so I'm just sitting here meditating in it. And I felt inspired. I was like, no, I'm going to keep running. Yeah. And so where I normally would have cut off to go back, I decided to go down this hill.
Good.
And so when I went down this hill, I then turned right and I was going back up the hill. Well, when I was going back up the hill, I see a white door. And I'm talking, guys, this is the physical domain. This is just weird, but it was here. It was a white door. It had a big glass in the front, leaning up against a tree. Mm-hmm. By the way, there was no house construction happening. Yeah. This wasn't a construction zone. These are all homes that have been built for like 30 plus years.
Yeah.
Because this is the neighborhood I grew up in. Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure nobody's done reconstruction since Jesus was alive. I'm just kidding. But
white door.
So white door with a glass laying up against this beautiful tree. And there were two golden lampstands on either side of the door.
It's hilarious.
Well, I'm slow. And I was just like, that's really interesting. I honestly didn't think much about it. I was just like, that's really interesting. Yeah. Like, that's probably a portal. Like that was just the thought. Uh-huh. I went back into what I was meditating on about the sons of God and just being one. But I made note of that.
Yeah.
So, time out.
Yeah.
That happened. Now we're going to rewind again.
I'm taking a note as well. You keep going. I'm sorry. I have thoughts about this.
I love it. Well, I'm just doing timeouts and the rewinds. You know how you like give a picture and then you go back?
It's good. It's flowing well. Yeah.
Okay. Well, rewind all the way back.
Okay.
So a week and 2 days before this moment in time, I was at intercession. And intercession, I was so stirred up so much. I felt the physical presence of the Lord walk into the room. And it's such a sweet, tenderness. It makes me cry every time I feel his actual physical presence. And I'm bawling, honestly, during intercession because I feel it. And I heard him say, my presence is a gift and I want to give you my physical manifestations of heaven. But I knew it was of his person, and I attached my belief so hard into that. I was like, I will see you, and I will see heaven in this domain.
Oh, yeah.
Like in the physical, there was something that it was faith that arose out of me, and I attached myself to it. I like grabbed it like a bear hug, and I pulled it in. So I've been sitting with that for a week. So then fast forward, that was on a Saturday. On Sunday morning, I was like, man, I really want to go for another run. And so it was kind of a slower day. Zach was like, well, let's do a little workout before. So we were doing some squats and, Bexley was getting her workout in.
Yeah.
And finally I was like, you know what? I really am. I'm going to go for a run. So I was like, I'll go for a quick mile, like just fast, just kind of sprint it out or whatever. Well, as I'm on this run, there is on this track that I go to in my hometown, Belton. It's called Chisholm Trail. it is a open field, but it looks like a track,
Mhm.
right? So it's not the normal like running track from high school.
It's bigger too, right?
It's
like
much,
4 times as big.
Yeah, it's much bigger, but you can see everything, right? So you're not doing laps. You're running a mile, but around an open field.
Okay.
So you see everybody that's on the field.
Yeah.
At any given point. There are some baseball fields, but you can...
Yeah, you can see.
You can see. There's one place so I should correct this. In one it's like a real dip down and then come back up, but then you can see again.
Okay.
Well, when I went for this run, there was one truck in the parking lot. There was one lady walking on the trail. And then out of nowhere, I'm running on this side. I see these 2 people start to approach me. They look identical. They're the same height, same build. Both have this beautiful gray hair. And I'm just sitting here like I'm in so much thanksgiving, right? And as I pass them, just for like being able to run, that's what I mean. But as I pass them, I smell this wild, sweet sense. And I was like, oh, that's familiar. Like that triggered something about when I've had a heavenly experience. It smells like vanilla and it just like, it smells like home. It smells. And so then when I had that smell, it was like, oh my gosh, they're like my family. And then I started like, oh my gosh, they're like my brother and sister. Like, oh, that was so cool. Like, I want to go talk to them. And then I was like, oh my gosh, like my faith started to get stirred up.
Yeah.
And then I started like feeling like I needed to declare restoration over my family, and I needed to declare restoration over this region and from my past. And and it was like I am here to take ground is what it felt like. I came back to my hometown to declare the restoration of all things. And so I'm like stirred up in this, and I was like, oh, we can break addictions. And I start going off on this whole thing of like, oh, I'll shatter all the addictions in our family. And anyways, and I was like, oh God, they carry this. These 2 people I just passed. And mind you, this all happened relatively quickly.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've got to give them that word. I've got to tell them they're stir that up. Like they're carrying this, like this is a gift that they have. Dude, I turn around and they're gone.
Yeah.
There is nowhere for them to go. The truck is still there, and then one other lady is still there, but they are gone, and there is nowhere for them to go.
Yeah.
They could not have dipped off unless a car drove up and
swiped them up and
swiped them within 1.5 minutes.
Yeah.
But completely just whoop. And I'm a slow cat, right? And I was like, oh man, I really wish I could have given them that word. And then it like slaps me in the back of the head, and I go, oh my God, those were angels. Oh my God, they were the 2 lampstands.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they were the messengers that I released
in the experience
from the restoration when I met with wisdom.
Yeah.
I was like, holy, like it all started to click like, holy crap. Holy crap. And it just had this awe of like, this stuff, like we're doing something.
Yeah.
This is actually happening. Like you can't just discount these experiences that you're having because they're coming in. Like,
and it was just 3 of them back to back to back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just like, man, but I knew that they were there to encourage the restoration of all things because it was the very thing that I got commissioned to do prior.
Yeah.
You know, and
that's amazing.
But then for the freaking 2 lampstands with the door, the portal, I kind of joked and I was like, I bet they freaking came through that door.
Yeah, probably did.
I bet that was a legit portal that they just popped in on. Anyways, so that was a cool experience that I had.
That's amazing, yeah.
I got home from running. I ran pretty fast after that, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, yeah. That'll get you.
Oh, I was like lit.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're good. But I got home and I told Zach the whole story. And he goes, I got to go. I'll see you later. Like he goes on a run.
He goes on a run, heck yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
And he was like, I'm expectant. We'll see what happens.
Good.
And it was just that, to me, that's what yes, are we doing stuff here 100%, but also are we stirring people up? Absolutely.
Yep.
That's how I know it's God.
Yeah.
In all things, it sparks faith.
It's
of
amazing.
Like, I'm going to get one too.
Yeah.
I'm going to have an encounter.
And to go out there with, like, that's your goal and purpose is, oh yeah, we're going to see something.
I'm going to see it.
I love that. Well, and even like you're saying, you ran faster than anything. People can tap into, your own strength and stuff. But when you're in love, like the heavenly realm, you run real fast.
Oh, yeah. And you don't even know it, dude.
I know it.
Like, you don't get, it's like I
buzzing,
didn't get tired.
Like, yeah.
It was just like, oh, like.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's wild.
Amazing.
Anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. After you told me that the other day, I'm like out and about, like, I'm going to see something too.
Well,
it stirs it.
You've had your own, you've had your own physical.
But even you just tell me that, I'm like, oh yeah, this happens. This is who we are. It's just all the time. Yeah. Yeah,
what were some of your notes?
Some of my notes, one thing was, what's interesting, like whenever I'm just thinking about this from like a listener's perspective, even with some of the stuff that I'll share too, but like the door and the lampstands. It probably looked, it probably looked just like a door propped up against a tree with the lampstands, but like, how biblical is that?
Yeah.
And I think whenever these things happen, a lot of times, unless you're like paying attention and aware, you could go right past it.
Totally.
It's not always this big booming, like, this massive light shows up and this huge
envelops
magical
you like
thing.
Paul.
Yeah. But what you saw, that is what it is.
Yeah.
And
then when you start, like when you then have this next experience and you're like, oh my gosh, I see how they all fit.
Yep.
It's like, that's just a piece to the puzzle.
It's the faith thing too. It's like, hey, listen, faith comes by hearing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, listen, be aware.
Yeah, man. It's cool.
Because that's cool. When you said that, a door with lampstands, I'm like, oh yeah, it's about as godly as it gets.
Yeah. I tried to, because I write everything in my journal, and so I tried to draw them of like what they look like, and I was like, well, that's a poor drawing.
Did you fail?
Epically.
Oh, that's funny.
It's not cute at all.
Yeah.
But to me, like the two lights.
Yeah.
Well, one, I felt like it was the two messengers, but also it's like, hey, there's always light at the door.
Yeah.
At every gateway, at every portal that is opening up for you in your own life, and the open doors, because he is the door.
Yeah.
It is the Lord Jesus himself. It's like there's always light and love around it.
Mm-hmm.
And so almost like, to me, it was even a prophetic picture of just even some of my own stuff, is like, go through the things that have light and love around it.
Yep.
Like those are the places that you enter in. These are the access points.
Yeah.
If you're stressed out, if you have like all this chaos in your life, it's like, look for love and light.
Yep.
Where is it? And you'll find the Lord.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's cool.
So let's jump into yours. Well, you have such good stories.
I think I shared the dream I had. I lose track of time. I have it written down. It was a year or two, somewhere in between a year or two ago. I had a dream. It was me, you, and Alan. I know us three were there specifically. And right down the road here, I think it's it's not Line Street. Whatever this road is over here.
Yeah, I don't know what
we were walking down it, and we were going north, like about to cross the railroad tracks. And as we were walking these two...
Oh, Spring Avenue.
Spring Avenue, that's it. Yeah.
Spring up a well.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good. As we were walking, these two jets, like fighter jets, fly right over our heads. I mean, like right over, and it rattles the buildings. I mean, it rattles the dust out of them, the brick streets. It rattles everything. You could just feel that power, And it was like, whoa, this show of force. These things are on our side. They're going before us. It's like nobody's messing with us. We can go anywhere. That kind of thing. We have reinforcement. And I remember the jets. I'm not a car person. I'm not an airplane person or boats. I know nothing. I can barely tell you what make and model my car is. It's just not the way my brain works. But these jets.
You have a black car.
Yeah, I have a black car. Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Yeah. That's about as far as I get. It's got 4 wheels.
Mm-hmm.
But these jets, I remembered them, and they were blue and gold in the dream, which that light that I saw written on my wall was blue and gold. Looks like your coffee mug. It looked like that. So this blue and gold thing. Anyways, I did my research. Like, what are these jets? And they're called Hornets, right?
It's beautiful.
They're called Hornets, and then they're blue and gold, and there's this, I guess, these fighter jets, and they're called the Blue Angels. So all these things happen, and I'm like, wow, it's amazing. Those were angels. Those two, I felt like they're around me, specifically those two, you know? The next day, I come to work, and one of my volunteers comes into the building. Says, James, these 2 jets just flew over the pipeline. Just flew right over it. And I'm like, oh, that's those angels. This happened, you know, way back when. So recently, and here little scriptures to go along with that. I mean, here I Googled them. Deuteronomy, the Lord your God will send the hornet against them until those who are left and hide themselves from you perish. That's one. In Exodus, I will send hornets ahead of you so that they will drive out the Canaanites and all these clans.
Demonic beings, yeah.
And in Joshua, then I sent the hornet before you, and it drove out the 2 kings of the Amorites from before you. But not by your sword or your bow. Well, it's like the Lord's your justice. You're surrounded by these things too. It's like, hey.
The Lord pushes out the principalities.
He does. They go before you. All you got to do is say, yeah, I'm with you, you know? Anyways, so that happens. Recently, I was praying. I found myself praying a few weeks ago, like, Lord, show me those angels again. I want to see the angelic. I want to see the reinforcement, but also like I want the underdogs. I want to be surrounded by people too. Bring me the underdogs was another thing.
Yeah.
And the people that everybody discounts, but that are powerhouses, you know, the ones that people neglect. And there's stories behind the people. I can do that one some other time because I've met some serious underdogs. And just anyways. Well, I've been seeing, after that dream, I've been seeing hornets. And it's that time of the year where the hornets come out. You know, you see little nests on the porch and stuff like that. There was some in the building in here. This was a while back. This wasn't even yesterday's hornet or the day before. There was like a bunch of them in the corner the other day. And I'm like, oh, there's some hornets. They're not there now. You can go look. They're just gone. Found one in front of my office. I think it was 2 days ago when I sent that picture. Then you told me about your encounter on your run, and I went for a run, and I went to get a drink out of the water fountain. There's a little hornet in the water fountain. So I just stuck my face right next to him like,
we're here.
Whether it's a bug or an angel, it gets the point across.
Yep. So,
and that's my first thought when I see it. It's like, oh, I'm surrounded.
Yeah. I'm
surrounded. And then I had a song come on that said, I have angels all around me. I don't even listen. I don't even know what the song was. Anyways, so then one evening, I'm on the back porch working on my little movie arts and crafts and stuff, and Kelsey's back there reading a book. There's 2 hornets on the back porch just flying around. And I obviously am thinking like, oh, I wonder if those are the angels. Well, then they're getting close to everybody. You know, we're talking about, you thinking about, hey, one's going to sting you or something. So I get the wasp spray. And I'm about to spray this hornet. And in my mind, I'm like, if it's an angel, it's not going to kill it.
It ain't dying.
It's not even going to hurt it. So I spray it. It hits the window, hits the hornet. The thing just keeps flying. No harm, no foul. Whatever. Like 5 minutes later, I'm like sculpting, working on whatever. This hornet flies right by my face. And you can hear the buzz of it. Just it reminded me of the jets.
Yeah.
The sound, It goes around my head, and it goes right up into my right nostril. Flies right up into it. And I lose my breath. Kelsey saw the whole thing. She's like, oh my God, is it in your head? And I'm like, yeah. And I start sneezing, buckled over in the yard, trying to blow my nose and get this thing out. It's a mess. Sneezing. like crazy. And then it just disappears up in my head.
Doesn't ever come out.
Never came out. And then I recovered. And so we're sitting there like, do you call the ambulance? What do you do when a hornet nestles in your head?
Mm-hmm.
And no pain. It didn't sting me. It didn't sting my brain or anything. But if anything, like the awareness that I asked for of, hey, let me see that reinforcement. Let me be aware of their presence. If going up in your head through your nose hole doesn't get that point across, I don't know what does.
Yeah.
So then 2 days later, it was a Sunday after church. I took a nap on the couch. I take pretty frequent naps. Sometimes, that one in particular, I was watching a movie that I'd been wanting to see for a long time, one of my favorite directors, and I couldn't get through it because I was so sleepy. And I thought, well, let me just take a little 30-minute, maybe a 5-minute nap. I did, and in this dream, specifically the situation that I'm in, like in my life right now, I have like responsibility. I feel like responsibility with people, over people and things like that. In this dream, I'm in a mansion and it's being renovated. So like some of the floors missing, some of the walls are missing. It has like these flood lamps. The lighting doesn't work all the way. And I'm taking care of like orphans in this mansion. And so I think we were playing games and stuff. And these two dudes bust up into the mansion. And they both have tool belts on, like a hard hat, and just like boxes of pizza food, like just stacked. And they just bust up in there, no manners, and just set the food down like, hey, we're here. And they just start working on the house. They have this tool belt, all these things. And I'm like, wait a minute. Let me pay you first. Let me pay you. Let me help, let me at least buy the pizza. And they didn't care. They were like, no, And so we fed all these orphans and they started fixing the house. Those were those two angels.
Oh, yeah.
Bringing the food, bringing the reinforcement stuff. Anyways, what's crazy about them, I know we've talked about this. They have no manners. They're on a mission. There's no self-awareness.
Mm-hmm. They don't carry the same fear that we do.
Right. And they just don't care. They're there. They have a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
But they have that family feel to them. Like
Very
you were
much
saying,
so.
of like, oh, yeah. And you just feel like you're good. I don't know. That reinforcement. It's like, oh.
What were their names in that dream?
Their names, well, what they meant, I don't want to say their names specifically.
Oh, that's right.
But what their names meant was, let me think, refinement, and grace. Grace and refinement was what they were, and I've had dreams about them, about those two things specifically. There's a whole story behind those and the meanings of their names. It was grace and refinement. And grace, that's been a thing of like, even that falls in line with faith of like,
yeah,
all you got to do is say, yes, let the Lord fill this space,
Mm-hmm.
Let him bridge the gaps.
Yeah.
Let him act. And refinement. I think everything, I think everything's refinement.
Yeah. I think everything is about refining us into his image.
Yeah.
To embody the fullness of him.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of what we were talking, just what I was saying about like embodying the word.
Yeah.
Like it's so that we fully embody it.
Mm-hmm.
And so.
Yeah.
I love
Some
that, dude.
Weird stories, yeah. But it's sweet.
I freaking love that story, dude. It's so dope to me because it's like when you believe that what you ask for will be given to you.
Yep.
You see it manifest.
Yeah.
It's there. When you fully attach yourself of like, no, I know that this is.
Yeah. And it's normal.
Yeah.
Those things
and
are normal, and we're
normal.
gonna see more of it. It's just
totally.
We're gonna see more of those weird situations.
Oh yeah,
and we welcome it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are so many things that you can allow your analytical mind to dismiss things and just be like, well, no, I don't think it was that, or that's reaching. Or my favorite phrase that is like, oh, I was just being over spiritual.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you trying to over spiritualize everything when we are spiritual beings having a physical experience?
That's true.
It's like, what if you actually just believe that these experiences are aligning with the very things that you've already been asking for?
Yeah. I think the only place that over spiritualizing something works is I've seen people like they'll try to justify something they're doing.
Totally.
That is not in line with what the Lord is doing. And they will try to amp it up spiritually with these stories and stuff to justify it. But yeah, over spiritual, like, yeah, that's not really a thing.
It shouldn't be a thing.
No, it shouldn't.
I think for me, it's like, if you're trying to make, like, for me, these experiences, you can't make them spiritual. They were spiritual.
Totally.
Like, they were spiritual experiences in the natural realm.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. Well, and my thing too, like, even like the door, the door, the hornets, it's like, yeah, you could brush those off. Like, that's a coincidence. Of course, it's hornet season, or like, yeah, there's doors everywhere. I don't know. But
I've never seen a door land up against a tree,
for sure.
But that's just me.
No, but it's like, the Lord speaks through all of his creation, everything.
Totally. You know when it sounds like Dad. You know when it's him. And I think for me, like, when these natural experiences have happened, and even other ones for me, it's like they're in alignment with things that I've already been connecting to. They're already things that the Lord's been speaking to me on.
Yep.
Like, they're just manifestations of things that have already been happening in the spirit realm. It's kind of like the faith thing, it's right? Cool. Like you talk about a lot that I love is like when you have an idea or an imagination, like you have to, it's in your brain, it's in your mind, and then you pull it and then you make it.
Around. Yeah.
Then you bring it and you establish it in this earth. Like, that's all great ideas, inventions, all of that. Sure. Like, it starts as a thought.
Yeah.
Or an experience or
yeah. What's cool about it too, when he gives us stuff like that, it's like the tokens. It's like the token stuff that happens.
Yeah.
Like, he'll tell you something and then he'll just reinforce it from, in your case, 3 different angles.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, hammer that point home.
For sure.
It's so cool.
Yeah. But I also think that's how we're supposed to be living.
It is.
That's how we're supposed to be engaging in everyday things.
Yeah.
Like, I think okay, I'm going to go on a small tangent, but I think that's a part of enjoying life. Like, we, as human beings, we were designed and created to enjoy our life. These experiences I enjoy.
Yeah.
Like, they stir me up. But also, just so do when I just sit and listen.
Yeah.
So, like, I enjoy every single aspect of these things. And so it's like, the physical experiences are not greater than the moments of my dreams or the quiet time that I have with the Lord. Like, they are all, cool. To me, they're the same because I enjoy them all.
Yep.
They're things that bring me life. Yeah. And so that's what I think is ultimately the whole key is, like, enjoy the life. Yeah. Enjoy the life given to you. Live it into abundance.
Yeah. And
watch the Lord bring all these things to life for you.
Such a privilege and an honor to be here.
Yeah.
Like, life really is incredible. It really is, the experience. Yeah. Everything.
Yeah, man. I think you either have the perspective of life is hard and you're just trying to get to somewhere where it's no longer hard. Yeah. Or you just sit in it and realize, oh my gosh, I have the enjoyment of these things. Yeah. And even if things are difficult, I'm enjoying the growth in the process of it. Yeah. You know, like, I think that's one thing that my mind has really been shifting on is, like, if something's difficult, good. Yep. But find what you enjoy about the difficult. Yeah. You know, like, because there's always good to be had in it. Like, you can have a perspective shift on it at any given moment. Like the stuff with Native, right? The whole thing was a complete dumpster fire when I left. Yeah. But 2 things that I felt excited about. One, it exposed something that wasn't right yet that I got to correct. And the other one was it exposed something else that we needed to shift in. Sure. And it was just like, oh, look, if these things hadn't been uncovered, we would not have been able to make these amendments. Yep. And now it's going to be even better. It's like, it's only forward progress, man. And you can think of it as like, oh my gosh, this is so hard and I feel like I just got my butt kicked and whatever else. Or you can see it as like, the Lord is providing opportunity here. There's an opportunity to enjoy this.
Yeah.
Count it pure joy, my brethren.
Yep.
It's like, well, there means there's joy in trials. Like, we should be happy in the trial.
Yeah. Yep.
You know,
if you're not, there's something to be had in it. You can have that.
Yeah, there's growth in it. There's another thought, right? And side note on that, I think that there is that kind of the over spiritualizing things. We also over spiritualize and don't take full ownership if we are feeling like something is really hard.
Yeah.
You know, we'll be like, well, I'm not going to entertain that thought. I'm not thinking about it. I'm not thinking about it. I'm not thinking about it. And it's like, that thought is tormenting you. You should probably look at it.
Yeah, look at it. Yeah.
You should look at it and see, what are you really afraid of?
Right.
Because it's actually preventing you from having joy.
Yep. In
the midst of something. If what does Daniel call it? Like doing a Jada, like that dog.
Oh yeah.
His dog would like never look at it.
Yeah.
Look at anything. She would always turn her head if she was in trouble. It's like, if you are having fear in something or you're not sure about something, like look into it.
Yeah.
Because it will unlock your ability to have joy.
Yeah.
It's right there. It's waiting for you, but it's through the fear.
Yep. Yep.
You can't get there any other way.
That's true.
But
that is true. We swim in the storms.
James, you said that the other day. I'm still working on how I can get that made into a cup.
Yeah.
'Cause we do.
It's true.
That's what we're designed for.
Yeah.
The Lord told me this like 4, 3, 2, 1. I don't know.
Yeah.
One of those days prior to this storm happening.
Yeah.
And the Lord said, you're built for this.
Yeah.
And it was just that affirmation, like you, all of us, every single listener, you were built for this life. You were built for the abundant life. This is your DNA, is to have this and to have it to the fullness. You were built to have spiritual encounters. You were built to engage God with your entire being. You were built for relationships with people.
Yep.
If you're not having relationships with people, ask what is happening within me preventing those relationships.
Yep.
You know, I think there's a lot of time we look at other people. I'm going to go on a small tangent about relationships because I've seen that a lot too recently. Is that we look for external of why everybody else is not giving me the relationship I need.
Mm-hmm.
When the reality is what's going on within me, not allowing me to connect to people in the ways that cause me to come alive.
Yep. And
it's probably pain. You know, there's so many things within us that we can release.
Yep.
And I posted this thing on Instagram the other day, and this wasn't even from a Christian, but it was so brilliant to me. It was when you walk into a room, you say, what can I bring to the table here? What can I give in this room?
Yep.
Not what can somebody feed me from this room?
Absolutely.
And it's like that. When we carry that mind, I think heaven comes more for people when they have that mind of like, I'm going to release, I'm going to build, I'm going to connect in relationships. I'm going to make myself vulnerable. I'm going to make myself available.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to show up in a tender way. And I've seen this over and over and over. When you choose to show up in a vulnerable space, you are definitely met with vulnerability because other people are just looking, am I safe to be vulnerable? Yeah.
That's true. That's wisdom there. That's true wisdom. And like you said, we're built for anything that we encounter, anything, period. We're built for it.
Mm-hmm.
Completely built for it.
Yeah. And if we see that there is lack in something, you're built for that.
Yeah, definitely. Anything.
Because you're seeing the lack, meaning you were built to bring the strength.
I had this theory that the essence, the core of every single thing is redemption.
Oh, 100.
It has the ability to be redeemed, whatever it may be. Situation, something bad happens to you. It's either, it's a heart issue. It's something that you can have more of, something you can be whole in, something. So look at it with that perspective. Yeah, it's like, what can I bring? How can I initiate kingdom here And like, what is the redemption in this?
Mm-hmm.
What is heaven in this? Where are you in this? It's great.
I love it. He even says, like, he's given us the ministry of reconciliation.
That's it. Yeah. Yep.
Well, like, we're reconciling all things.
We're the agents of reconciliation.
We really are.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of even the spiritual experiences that you and I have already had.
Yeah.
We're reconciling the spirit realm into the natural realm.
Yeah.
Like, we're bringing Eden back on the earth.
Yeah.
And of course we're going to engage with them. They're our family.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Why wouldn't we? If you think about it, it's like,
oh yeah. Yeah.
Don't make no sense why it wouldn't happen.
Nope. It's a family business.
All right.
Was that weird enough?
That was
That was a good one.
That was pretty weird, dude.
Yeah, it's good though. Necessary. And it's real.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone listening to this, it's just there. I mean, like I said, just ask him, like, show me. Show me the reinforcement. But ask. Ask and then listen. Don't overcomplicate it. I mean, just.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a key too. Is like, keep it simple.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, that was my word, but.
Yep. Good.
Yeah.
All righty. That all? You got anything else?
I was kind of trying to formulate a thought on that.
Okay.
But it's not that important. I got a text that I was like, crap, I have to answer. But
I'll answer it and then formulate a thought.
Okay, hold on. No, I was saying that was my word for this year, was keeping it simple. And I think that there's so much that, to me, even like spiritual experiences or like bizarre things that are happening, like that's the key, is keep it simple.
Yeah.
You know, you can, like, to me, I didn't go search out the meanings of all these things.
Yeah.
It was just like click, 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 click. It was just like everything kind of came together. But I didn't like sit there and overanalyze it. And I wasn't like, oh, well, symbolically this means this, and so this must mean this, and then it could be like this. And then it was just like, I just took it and you hold it. And then you watch the Lord put the pieces together.
Yeah.
And I think that's the keeping it simple, is like, you just had those experiences. You didn't sit there and like overanalyze the crap out of it. Like, you held space for it. And then you were just like, yeah, we're covered.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
that's
covered.
Good. And there's no formula. You have your own language with him too.
Totally.
It's
but
like
then you
wisdom.
also got those two, remember the two fighter jets that you got?
Oh, yeah,
like
I left that part out.
You did.
Went on vacation, and that's where the Blue Angels practiced and stuff. And they had souvenirs everywhere. The signs were blue and gold there.
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed that part.
Yeah, I mean, that was a super dope part.
Right in the middle of me asking, like a week after those things flew up my nose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all then left on vacation, and you got these two.
Yeah, little souvenirs. They were in the little souvenir shop by where we were staying.
Yeah.
Two little Blue Angel fighter jets. They're on my desk now.
Yeah, but you know what was so beautiful about that is it literally had 32.8 on the blue fighter jet.
That's true.
And I looked up Psalm 32.8, and it says, I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go.
Yeah.
I will counsel you with my eye upon you. It's like it says that his eyes are full of fire.
Yep.
Like blue flames, dude.
Yep. Yeah, that's cool.
I'm just saying, like, it's just like all of that stuff gets connected. It
is all connected.
No, he's covering us. We're like around him. Everything, we're surrounded.
Yeah. Yep.
That was a dope part of the story.
Well, at least it's here. It's on here.
We slid it in there.
It's there. Yeah. Yeah.
But there's so much, man.
Wisdom is cool too. That's another thing, a note I took. I had an experience with wisdom, and it was a woman, and she was blue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, years ago.
Yeah, it was intense, dude.
But it's not, and I just knew it was her. So a lot of times when I see blue, some people think of revelation, but I think of wisdom when I see blue. A lot of times.
Yeah.
And I didn't go to dreamlanguage.com. What does blue mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's no formula to it.
Yeah, not even a little bit. Because it's really how he communicates to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's things really that you understand, ways that you relate. And
Yep. Is there somebody knocking?
No, I don't hear anything. It's probably the Lord.
It might be. I heard knocking and I heard somebody bashing on the door.
Oh, that's weird.
It is weird. I'm gonna check it out. You got anything else?
No, I think that's good.
All right. See y'all next time. If you enjoyed this episode of the Ancient Way podcast, drop us a like, share with your friends, share with your family. And if you'd like to support us and what we are doing, and you would like to play a direct role in our growth and things that we do in the future,
we have a donation spot at the bottom of our show notes. So you can click on that, give however much you want. We appreciate absolutely everything. We appreciate our listeners. And everybody that's already come alongside and encouraged us, and even everybody that's been on our show. So thanks, guys.